Right, a happy Easter to one and all today, and I thought to myself, Damo, what would be a befitting story to cover upon this day? What sort of person would be a suitable subject material to cover on a day of celebration and perhaps eating on too many chocolate eggs? And so I settled on Therese Coffey. Oh, Damo, you rascal, you might be thinking, or words to that effect. It's a low blow coming from you, but no, it's not for that reason at all that I brought her up. Shame on you for thinking such a thing. Easter is, after all, a day about celebrating a resurrection. And I'm resurrecting a story from Coffey's time in charge of the DWP, because some new developments from that time have risen again now, in a manner of speaking. It was back in 2019 that a report into the effectiveness of benefit sanctions was handed to the government, handed to Therese Coffey. This was an internal report her own department had produced, started before her time, but was delivered when she was there. And they'd done it ahead of initiating new benefit sanctions against claimants in order to prevent them from abusing any job that might be offered to them. You might think, so what? But if it is a job they have the wrong skills, aptitude, or training for, the sort of thing the job centre was supposed to help people either gain or ensure suitable people were offered the right jobs, supported and helped into the work that works for them, so they actually keep going with it, instead had, of course, become full of temporary minimum wage, low-value jobs, gig economy work, which may not afford enough to live on. The changes Therese Coffey oversaw were to force people into such work, force them to take on whatever was on offer, no support any longer, just keeping those numbers up, ensuring the government could keep bragging about low unemployment, saying nothing about low wages or the impact on the people affected. The sanctions scheme, therefore, to deliver on this was intended to be used more harshly. The Tories called it way to work. It would have been more appropriate to call it take the job or else. Functionally, instead of having 3 months to find and accept a job before sanctions would be applied, the Tories slashed this to just 4 weeks. The warnings were this would just impact people's mental health by pushing them into work they were ill-suited for, would stress people out, would backfire. Anyway, the report was produced and Therese Coffey repeatedly blocked it, becoming public knowledge. Gee, I wonder why. She couldn't give a good reason. This was a report years in the making, and she proceeded to sit on it, never intending to let it see the light of day, even to the point of refusing freedom of information requests, petitioning her to release it. She just repeatedly claimed it was not in the public interest. Wrong. It wasn't in her cruel and callous government's interest to expose the reality, but that was then, and this is now. In the report, now Coffey is out of the way from the DWP, pretending instead to now ban wet wipes for a third time and watching ever more sewage get dumped in our watercourses, as she now is. The report has finally been published after a successful Freedom of Information request finally won the day. It was resurrected, if you like, from whatever dusty corner the Tories had left it lying in. That's the last Easter nudge now, I promise. It was finally put at the fingertips of the public, and it is every bit what we thought it was. The findings clearly showed benefit sanctions do not work. By hiding this from the public eye, the Tories continued heaping cruelty on people down on their luck, in need of support, kicking them whilst they were down, knowing it was the wrong way to go about things, but electorally, it was a winner, and winning was all that matters. Based on falsehoods or not, they don't care. Reducing people's benefit money if they don't find work does not actually incentivize them to find work. It just harms their health. And if they do find work, they're functionally then earning less than if they were not sanctioned, because they're still paying the sanction and they're still in receipt of some form of benefit. It impoverishes people and negatively impacts health and well-being. They push people not into work, but into destitution. If the idea is to get people off of universal credit and out of reliance on benefits, then the act of reducing their benefit due to sanction, even if they then find work, just keeps them on the benefit for even longer. The work most that they are being forced to take up doesn't pay enough to get them off the benefits at all. It's barely enough to let them cover their expenses. And during this cost of living crisis, you can appreciate how much worse that situation would have become. It disproportionately impacts the lives of those with children more than those who don't have them. So sanctions are not even balanced or even-handed in their impact. To escape the risk of sanctions, people will take lower paying, more readily available, poorer value, temporary work, instead of helping them back onto their feet in a more meaningful way. Now, bear this all in mind when you cast your mind back to last month's budget, where Jeremy Hunt stood up and said benefit sanctions were going to be applied even more harshly going forwards, implying they've ignored the findings of this report that they've had to hand since 2019. Perhaps they never bothered to read it either, or they just don't care because, again, saying they'll punish people on benefits, again implying that these are feckless people on the take, where the truth may well be completely different. They still believe it will win them votes, though. They don't support people to get into work. They can adversely affect people once in work. They do not help people get off the benefits themselves. They slow down the process by which people are able to support themselves again. There is nothing positive, no win, no public gain in sanctions. But the Tories will push out more of them anyway, claiming they are still a deterrent. The biggest deterrent they should be is to voting Tory, because it's a vote for knowingly inflicting more cruelty on those with the least. What does that say about you then? Hardly Christian values, are they? Have a lovely Easter, everybody. Enjoy the day. Thanks for watching. If you appreciated this video, please do hit like and subscribe, leave a comment and hit the notification bell too, so you don't miss the next one. Also, look out for me on social media and other interesting stuff by clicking on the Linktree link in the comments below, and I will see you next time. Cheers, folks.